Oh! In a turn 3-4, here they come, they wreck, they spin across the line!
Oh, there's a car around and he's flipping off.
You got a crash, tuck it!
Comes Jones to the inside, they make contact!
Sliding into the wall hard on the inside.
Bumping him out of the 24, they're on the wall! Harrison Burton in defense, who just won? Let's try 4-1, oh, and he gets sideways, and big time! In the loop line, Eric Jones!
He goes sideways in the middle of the field and a huge hit.
Push right the wall, spinning across the line. Don the cloak and take the crown. Kyle Busch, you are the NASMAR 2023 Cup Series champion. It's the round of 12 elimination race, the Bank of America 400. Here, live from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval, we are here in Concord, North Carolina, to go from 12 down to 8 to compete for a championship. 38 of the nation's, the world's best stock car drivers here today to head around the 17-turn road course. Hello everybody, I'm your host, MLCS Racing Network, and today I'm joined in the booth by Speak Up, Stop Motion, Miscraft, and MLCS.
Welcome everybody to the Roval. We're getting ready for another great classic Charlotte Roval race here. This time it's going to have maybe some spicy elements up in there, but we're also going to have to watch the playoff cut line today. It's all about the playoffs. The race winner could lock you in today's race, but it also is about that points battle.
We've reached that point of the playoffs where you have to be absolutely perfect, and this is one of the most tricky racetracks to be able to do that. You got to keep that car off the curbs as much as you can. Don't want to damage the undersides of that race car. Don't want to damage the suspension, because this car, as we've known with the Gen 7, can be very fragile if it's put to the test just a little bit. And this racetrack is sure to test these guys here today.
Speaking of testing drivers, there's none better driver out there in the field than right now is Shane Van Gisbergen. He knows how to put the car to the test. Can he be one of the underdogs to claim the victory at the Charlotte Roval and to show all these NASCAR drivers who's king at road courses? Look for him later on in the race.
Lots of very interesting competitors from around the world here today at the Roval, and it's going to be a fun one indeed. But it's not only these competitors fighting for a win, it's to advance to the next round of playoffs, and it's going to be a fun one today.
And remember, folks, this is the only race on the NASMAR schedule, the only road course race, I should say, that is an infield road course. All the other road courses on the schedule are purpose-built road courses. This one is normally the Charlotte high-banked, high-speed mile-and-a-half. We are on the road course today. It's a tricky element coming up for today's race and for these guys. Now, folks, let's take a look at your ones to watch for today's race here at Charlotte. Taking a look at Chase Elliott in the number 9 Chevrolet Camaro. He comes into this race with a comfortable points lead. But remember, everybody, the number 9 team has not been the best in these playoffs. We're going to have to take a look how they can get better and claim the victory today. I talked to Elliott this morning, and he honestly was very confident coming into today's race here at the Roval. Watch the number 9 team today.
And one driver to take a look at here that is below the cut line coming into this race is none other than Denny Hamlin, 19 points below that cut line, in 10th position in points coming into this race. And he's just going to be looking to survive here today to try to get himself enough points to get into the top 8 to make it into the next round. But we'll see what he has in the bag for the 11 car here today.
One of the drivers I'm looking forward to seeing today is none other than Martin Truex Jr., who has a couple wins already on the season in his final NASCAR Cup Series full-time career. And can today be the day he knock off another win and potentially his last of his career? What none other track than to do it at the Roval, where he's been so good in the past.
But someone to look out for here today is Noah Gragson, just above the cut line by 11 points. That is not a comfortable margin at all. He's going to need a very solid day here today and hope It's going to be a points battle of the century. Heading into the Roval, Byron with a win. Reddick, Larson looking pretty safe. But look at that gap between 4th and 8th. 3 points. Anything can happen, and any of these drivers can be eliminated.
And looking at that cut line, you see Martin Truex Jr. only 14 points in above Chase Briscoe. Chase Briscoe, one of the underdogs, especially with Stewart-Haas Racing. Look for Chase Briscoe to try to march his way into the round of 8 in his final appearance for Stewart-Haas Racing, and their last shot for a championship.
There's lots of interesting storylines heading into this race and at this tricky track, but let's go ahead and see how tricky it is.
Now, folks, taking a look at the Roval itself, you start off at the green flag on the front straightaway, then you hit a hard left-hander down into turns 1, you have a sweeping turn up into turns 2, all the way through the infield road course section. This section of the track is very complicated. Expect a lot of crashes and a lot of tempers to flare here at the Roval.
You got to keep your momentum coming out of the infield road course section onto the oval. That momentum carrying you up into 4th, into 5th gear, all the way down to the heavy braking zone of turns 11 into the chicane of 12 on the backstretch. Got to carry more speed again onto the front straightaway. That is key to getting a good lap here at Charlotte.
He may not be starting on the pole, but he was the fastest in practice. This was Shane Van Gisbergen's out lap, taking the green flag for his first practice lap. He had a great turns 1 and 2 as he made his way to the infield side of the track and made his way around turns 3 and 4.
As he's been heading down the back straightaway into this very tricky set of corners, and look at that, turn 7, new curbing there. It's going to be very interesting to see how these drivers experience that, but look at this sweeping turn into the back straightaway. You're going to reach speeds of over 150 miles an hour into this tight braking zone.
Getting down into that first chicane. Got to be very quick through there. Make sure you make up as much time as possible. Leaving that, you get into turns 3 and 4 into the front stretch chicane. And then you finally, if you nail that, you can have completed a lap at the Charlotte Roval. It's very key to nail every point of this, because this is what happens if you don't. This front stretch chicane in practice has been a nuisance for many drivers. Watching Alex Bowman here just loses it almost over the curbs. Barely saves that race car. Honestly, we've seen a lot of trouble here the past couple of days in practice. Ryan Blaney right there missed it as well.
And even with the infield section here at the Roval, tight racetrack, a lot of problems there. You see there for Hocevar and a couple other drivers as well. And even the new curbing here coming off of the infield section there, a couple cars going over the top of it there. You see driver like SVG acing that part of the racetrack here, but then some other drivers having that trouble, still struggling with that new part of the racetrack there, like Michael McDowell.
It's going to take a lot for these drivers to get used to, as you can see, even for Noah Gragson with a hard crash in practice. As we know, he definitely does not need that as his point situation. As you can see, Denny Hamlin also having trouble in the exit of this corner. This corner is going to be one of the most trickiest spots for today, and especially with the championship contenders fighting for every track position on the racetrack, a lot of passing could be made here, and a lot of mistakes.
And finally, the backstretch chicane. Man, look at Kyle Busch during his qualifying lap. A vicious crash on the back straightaway. Getting to there too hot. It's going to be a fun one here today. But after all that, let's go down to the person for your command, the man, the myth, the legend, Eric Estep.
Drivers, start your engines!
For the command of the drivers, they roll off for the first time today. All 38 of these stock cars getting up to soon to get up to full song. Let's go ahead and take a look at your starting lineup for today's event. In row number 1 is Christopher Bell and SVG.
Row number 2 has Bowman the Showman and Ryan Blaney.
And then behind them, you're going to have Martin Truex Jr. and Mike McDowell.
Next up, you're going to have Chris Buescher and Chase Elliott.
Just rounding out your top 10, we have 200 teammates William Byron and Kyle Larson.
Then we have Joey Logano and Ross Watermelon Chastain.
Behind them is going to be Brad Keselowski and Josh Berry.
And behind them, you're going to have Tyler Reddick, one of the best road course racers around, and Legacy Motorsports Club, Eric Jones.
Behind them, we have two playoff hopefuls, Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin.
And rounding out your top 20 is going to be Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace. Now, we had some interesting radio comments from Michael McDowell. We heard over the radio. Here is McDowell's crew chief talking to him pre-race.
It's all going to come down to the 50-50 shot of what the cell that's 15, 20 miles out does. The range will get burned up pretty quick here if it stays dry for a little bit. We'll see what happens. We stay with the guys that are racing. That's going to be our plan all day.
That is some interesting developments from the 34 radio. Let's head on down to Timothy McReynolds to learn more.
Yeah, thanks guys. Michael McDowell said it correct. There's a storm forming about 15 to 20 miles outside the facility right now, and there is a small gap in the storm. However, it's just as likely that we get that gap as if we don't get it. Every single crew chief up and down pit road has been stressing for days on end at this point about this storm and where it's going to fall. It's all going to come down to the end of stage 1, beginning of stage 2 if we see rainfall. It's a beautiful day for racing. Up until that point, however, 38 drivers in the field. We have a 25-lap race on our hands today, around a 2.25 mile Charlotte road course. This is the round of 12 elimination race, and we're ready to see a good one.
Thank you, Analyst. It's very interesting. It's going to be fun to see what these drivers do today. But while the drivers check their pit speed, let's go ahead and take a look at some other races that have been under the rain so far this season.
Very interesting racer, a lot of chaos. I was actually in the commentary booth for this race, and I can confidently say it was a chaotic one. Expect similar things here.
And then we took a trip all the way to Illinois in Chicago, where the rooster tails were even higher once again downtown. You know, we see it all the time on regular streets, but boy, when they're at speed in NASCAR race cars, it sure is a tough challenge for them.
And by far the most chaotic rain race we've had so far this season was at an oval, not a road course, at Richmond Raceway. We'll see how much of that chaos will be coming today if the rain falls later.
And we're now hearing reports that Austin Dillon is having issues and coming to pit road this lap. We're going to send it down.
And it's going to be a fun one here today. The pace car is going to drive these drivers around for one last lap. Let's take a look at your race analysis. It's 25 laps, 400 miles around this 2.65 mile road course. 70 turns and rain is looming. It's going to be a fun one to see what these drivers do with it. 38 of the nation's best stock car racers ready to go racing. The pace car, it looks like it's about to head down pit road for the first time today. It's Chris Roval and road course ace, the Australian SVG on the outside, lane through the chicane. We're underway in the round of 12 elimination race.
Heading into the first set of turns in the infield road course, Christopher Bell gets out to an early lead. SVG fighting Alex Bowman, the showman, for P number 2. Now SVG going to try to clear that 48 machine early, but he's not going to get. He's going to go over the curb a little bit, into the wall. The 16 almost goes. Ryan Blaney slipping up too.
We see these guys already struggling with that new curb as they get up to full song down the back straight. Now into the heavy braking zone to the backstretch chicane. Bell leads them there side by side for second and onto the oval, turn 3.
As you can see, the battle still for second between SVG and Bowman as they're heading into the final chicane. And in the final chicane, Bell looks like he's going to lead lap number 1. SVG finally clears Bowman and sets sail on leader Christopher Bell.
1 of 25 down, and here they come into the infield once again. This time, top 3 single file. The first battle between playoff drivers for the 7th position.
Looking at this battle right here, that's Ryan Blaney and Chris Buescher. They make contact. Looking at the 12, he's kind of in a weird points position. He's going to have to not have this happen today. Chris Buescher's going to slide off that curb. Everybody slipping and sliding all over that curb, leaving the infield road course section. Ryan Blaney, Chris Buescher still battling for that position.
And they make their way on the oval. Oh, one car gets spinning off onto the oval. That's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's going to right the ship right in front of Noah Gregson there. What a wild ride there for the 47. The first of many, I'm sure, to be bit by that curb on the oval.
As we make our way back down into the infield, Christopher Bell still leads SVG. SVG just set the fastest lap of the day as Bell slips up off of turn number 3 as they make their way down back across to the oval part of the racetrack. You can see Martin Truex Jr. slides out wide. Blaney's still trying to get around Chris Buescher as he makes his way onto the oval.
More contact made through the back of the field. It's Chastain and Barry. Chastain, a championship contender. He's up by 21 points, but maybe not for much longer. They head outside of the chicane for the first time today. It's Bell, SVG hunting him down, and Blaney and Buescher. They continue to find each other side by side in the back.
We have settled into this long race here in the cutoff race here at the Charlotte Roval. Looking at these guys, everybody trying to maybe take it easy. I stand corrected. Here comes Mark Truex Jr. and Michael McDowell now battling. But the top 3 continue to settle out, trying to maybe log some laps, not trying to get involved in any crazy wrecks here. And their teammates now battling. Look at this, 2 wide for 4th positions. McDowell, Truex, heading on the Roval, off the thing again. Michael McDowell's gonna slip up there 3 wide through turns 1 and 2.
Boy, these guys are throwing elbows here, and Charlotte Buescher going to try to come on to the inside and attack the 19 for position. He's going to try to move up to position number 4, and it looks like he's going to try to do so. They are both just fighting the curbs here onto the oval.
So far early on in the race, playoff drivers haven't been making any noise as the top drivers, Christopher Bell, non-playoff driver, SVG, not a playoff driver. Alex Bowman's the first one out of the playoff drivers to make contact. Chris Buescher, Martin Truex. Truex does not need that as he's only 14 points above the cut line as they make their way through turns 3 and 4.
Chris Buescher, some massive air off the turtles. That is just how dangerous they are as Martin Truex Jr. clears himself for the 4th position. We're going to head out of the infield once again on the Speedway 1 and 2.
Looking at Bell once again, really opening up his lead over SVG now. Early domination, not surprising from that 20 cam, but once again, it is just a log jam in the back of the pack, heading into the first chicane down here on the back straightaway. Once again, Logano and Reddick battling. Look at Ryan Blaney and Chase Elliott, that number 9 guy, trying to make up some spots here.
25 laps might seem like a long time into this race, but if you're further back in the field and need those points to get into the next round of the playoffs, boy, you better be getting going quick here in the Roval.
Yes, all points will come to an end at the end of this stage. You need those valuable playoff points, just like Ryan Blaney, as we saw Martin Truex Jr. earlier. Other drivers in the back, like Noah Gragson, he definitely needs some points. Noah Gragson, not even at the start-finish line yet. He's just now getting there. He's going to need a lot of work to make up some points for the finish of today's race.
And this is what happens when you don't have the best of a weekend. Gragson starting all the way in the back of the field, but he is marching through it up 11 spots already.
Noah Gragson needs every point here at the Charlotte Roval. He battles Ryan Preece. He's going to slip up a little bit off those curbs once again, but Christopher Bell continuing to have a handy lead over SVG. White flag in stage number 1.
And it has been a clinic so far this stage. Here's a couple playoff guys behind. Blaney and Elliott continuing to battle, but up front continuing to put gap on the 16. It's Christopher Bell in the infield.
As SVG trying to run down. He's not racing for points, remember, but he is racing for that prestigious bragging rights of winning a stage and taking it to these NASCAR drivers. A lot of drivers over the curb. A lot of drivers, you can see all these, the 5, the 22, the 24, all playoff drivers. They need points, and they need them now.
Speaking of points, that's the battle for the 10th position. Both need it, but here they come. Out of Speedway, turns number 4 into the chicane. It's Christopher Bell, a clinic he's put on out through the chicane. Christopher Bell will take home stage number 1.
Christopher Bell put on a clinic in stage number 1. What a overall great first stage. A lot of action here at the Charlotte Roval. Let's take a look at your stage 1 results. Of course, Bell will win it. SVG grabs 2nd place. Alex Bowman is 3rd. Martin Truex Jr. 4th. And Michael McDowell, a sneaky good road course racer, gets that 5th spot.
And what an incredible stage it has been all around. Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, and Joey Logano. Those are some major stage points for every single one of those drivers. And look at Alex Bowman. He was below the cut lines. These points are going to help an absolute ton. Well, these drivers are raring to get up pit road for the first time today. I think Christopher Bell leading them down. Let's head down first time to your pit road.
As now Shane Van Gisbergen pulls into his pit stall after finishing 2nd in stage. He has a good car. All he wants now are his 4 tires and a small adjustment to keep him going.
Great point stay so far for the driver under the cut line. 4 tires, fuel, and a slight wedge adjustment for the 48 team.
Christopher Bell with a dominant stage 1. He's going to take 4 tires, some fuel, and he says that the car is perfect.
And here's your race off pit road. It's SVG climbing the ranks and gets ahead of Chris Roval coming off pit road, and a very solid day for Truex as well, gaining a couple of spots. Well, with that all out of the way, it's time to head down to your choose code. These drivers can choose where they want to restart for this next start. And whoa, I'm getting some word from NASMAR. This choose cone is called off. There is rain in the area. Turns 3 and 4, a little bit of a drizzle. Let's go down to Timothy McReynolds for a bit more information.
Yeah, guys, NASMAR is calling off this restart for another lap. They want to give these drivers a chance to come down and pit for wet tires. The rain that has started up does not look like it's going to end anytime soon.
When the New Zealander heard about the rain, he said absolutely not mind. 4 fresh rain tires for the 16 car.
After hearing about the decision, Truex said, heck no, I ain't doing that. Off goes the slicks and on go the rain tires for the 19.
Bell over the radio says, I'm not that dumb. It's going to be 4 fresh rain tires for that DeWalt machine.
Look at your playoff standings after stage 1. Byron still has that win. Reddick, Larson, and Chastain looking pretty comfortable. But Chastain and below, very scary. Gregson only up 3. Bowman, -3 stage points sure do help a ton.
Taking a look at the choose cone. It's the top half of the field does have slicks. It did not pit for rain, wet weather tires. This is going to be interesting as we have some active rainfall over in Oval Turn 2. We have to see how this one ends up with Alex Bowman on the front row.
Boy, they sure are gutsy for making this call, but we'll see if that's going to work out for them. And they're just going to be hoping that the majority of the track stays dry. But I bet that they're sweating through their shirts right now because that's a call I do not want to have to make.
I wouldn't want to be on the pit box either making that call, because this could be your season. This moment could decide your season if you put on the wrong set of tires and end up crashed or wrecked.
And a rainfall in turns 3 and 4. It's going to be fun. Alex Bowman and Chris Buescher lead us back green in stage number 2.
Getting into the infield part here, Chris Buescher, Alex Bowman dead even now as they're getting finally about to leave the infield section once again. They are dead even onto the rain. It is actively raining. We got a big crash.
They go around.
Everybody is around in the top half of the field.
It's the field.
Continue spinning.
It's the whole field. Oh my, what a crash here at the Charlotte Roval. The top half of the field wrecks after not taking those wet weather tires.
And these guys just all smacked their head on their laptop keyboards, realizing what they just did for their championship hopes. Alex Bowman involved in this one. A ton of other big-name drivers in the hunt for the championship just going to be struggling after this one.
I have never seen something like this in my life as a stop-motion viewer. Unbelievable. Joey Logano was involved, Alex Bowman, and many others.
Take a look at the replay here. They get to the rain, slick tires. That is not going to do anything for you, and they continue to pile in car upon car upon car. It's a parking lot on the back straightaway.
What a crazy incident here in Oval's turns 1 and 2. These crew chiefs are slamming their computers shut. It is over for a lot of these playoff guys, and a lot of guys who were just having good runs today, unfortunately collected in this one. Once again, just slick tires on an actively raining racetrack just is not gonna work.
But that's the point of the playoffs. If you're underneath and you're looking for points, you got to take risks, and it just did not work out here. You see a ton of the damage on these race cars here. A ton of tape getting put down on the corners of these race cars that have been beaten and battered in Oval turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, it's just wild, but you know, like these drivers like Joey Logano and Alex Bowman, they have to repair their cars and try to continue to gain as much points as they can. As you see Cindric and Gibbs and Brad in the garage area, their days are done, unfortunately, and maybe they can pick up a win next week.
And now the cars head through the choose cone, going side by side, picking every single which lane, and some interesting decisions to be had. The front half of the field all on rain tires, as the beginning of them should have. It's going to be a fun one. This time, the whole track is covered with rain. It's covered with puddles. It's going to be fun to see what they can do.
It is definitely going to be a fun one. We already saw what happened to the drivers that didn't put on the rain tires. Now these drivers will have the rain tires. What will go on and what will happen as we come back to the green flag?
And we're back green. Bell and SVG battling side by side through the rain. Spray coming up behind their cars. They're side by side. Oh, around goes Logano. Just Byron. He piles into both them collected. No caution.
Stay green. These guys try to right the ship as onto the oval. SVG gets the lead. That tail end of that race car sideswiping itself around, but he keeps it straight there. Oh, more contact behind. And it's a couple of SHR teammates going around right before the oval.
That's no surprise, SHR in the back crashing, but nonetheless, SVG, the road course master and the rain master, is still out front, leading Christopher Bell into the final chicane.
Well, that all happens. Like, look at the replay. Blaney off around, just got loose, and then Byron was also kind of just upwards of the track and piled into him. They were luckily able to fire it right
and here you see, it looks like the 14 of Chase Briscoe just slid up into Josh Berry there in that right-hander. That is an uphill right there. Tough luck, they just got together.
Oh, Bubba Wallace!
And Bubba Wallace around early through the grass. He barely managed to get it fired back up. He's into pit road now. Let's take a look at what happened. Look at him all in the right. Whoa, he just completely missed it. Hydroplaning over the curb and hitting the signs.
I'll tell you what, though, he did a fantastic bowling exhibition right there on the infield. You see other cars in the bottom of the frame there also having some trouble with that chicane on the front straightaway. I'll tell you what, these guys are really struggling with this racetrack right now. Still fishtailing in the infield section there. A couple of signs plastered onto that race car now.
As we enter back on the front stretch, SVG will take the final lap of stage number 2 in dominating fashion. Even though he's sliding around, he's on rails. Chastain finally making some hay, a playoff contender, wanting some more points as he makes his way around Christopher Bell. Reddick is finally showing some signs of improvement today as he's in the 3rd position. But the battle is still for second between Chastain and Bell.
Chastain, a playoff contender. These playoff points could be huge. Likewise for Reddick.
Oh my God!
Big pile up. 3 cars stacked on top of each other. How did that happen? We can't have time to show it right now. But they're all seem to fire it back up. Bubba Wallace trailing behind. A massive incident in turns 3 and 4.
Once again, a parking lot in some of these corners of the Roval. We are used to this by now, but look at Shane Van Gisbergen. He will win stage number 2, beating all these Cup guys.
Whoa, Truex! Hard to the outside. Whoa, side attachment. The park comes flying off. Huge hit for Martin Truex Jr. He came sliding. Big hit. Let's take a look at the replay. He is done and dusted. Something fell off of that car.
Something.
And championship implications for the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. came into this just 14 points above. But let's take a look at this parking lot here in the infield. Man, they just came piling in. Brakes don't work as well when you're hydroplaning here on water on the infield of a racetrack just simply not built to drain as easy as regular roads do.
And you know it's really bad when you mix a wet racetrack, Austin Dillon and Harrison Burton. You know something's going to go wrong with those drivers.
As always, a very fun stage here. SVG crowns the top, then Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and Michael McDowell round out your top 5.
Looking at this, Martin Truex Jr. is the most interesting story, smacking that wall coming out of the second chicane. Something fell off the race car. This could be huge, huge, huge playoff implications. Let's send it down to our pit reporters for some more pit stops.
As your dominant stage winner, SVG now pulls into his pit stall. He says the car is perfect from that adjustment he got earlier in the race. Just wants 4 fresh rain tires and some fuel.
A great stage for the Team Trackhouse #1 Chevy Camaro. Ross says over the radio, the car feels fantastic. The team will add 4 tires and fill it up with Sunoco fuel.
It was a great stage for Martin Truex Jr. until he hydroplaned hard into the wall and something fell from underneath that chassis. It's going to be an extended pit stop for the 19 cam.
And coming off pit road, it's Alex Bowman. No tires, just fuel. A risky move for the 48 of Alex Bowman. What a move. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do. Take a look at your playoff standings right before we go back green. It's William Byron, he's locked in. Then Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, and Martin Truex Jr. sitting pretty up top. And Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Noah Gragson look like headline battle. Only 10 points separate Gragson and Briscoe. It's going to be a fun one indeed. Hamilton, Bowman, and Logano, they just need a turnaround day, and they need it now. Martin Truex Jr. still crashed out. He's still on pit road, trying to rejoin the back of the field. And he's going to need there as he is very dangerously above the cut line. Let's go ahead and take a look at your choose cone here as the pace car leads up across. Alex Bowman, remember, he's on... Yeah, he didn't pit for tires, just fuel. Likewise for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Every car going every which way. They need the points. It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Very interesting call by Blake Harris to leave Alex Bowman out there with no tires, but desperate times call for desperate measures in the fourth.
Yeah, there's a lot of
see if that shakes up the running order, as he does need some points. SVG once again up there in the front. Martin Truex Jr. will have to restart over the rear after breaking something on that car. Hopefully he can survive the rest of this race. Well, folks, we're coming back to the green flag here at the Charlotte Roval. They're back up to the gears. We are green once again.
Oh, and Stenhouse around already.
There goes Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
And Alex Bowman does not get a good restart. They're 3 wide off the DeWalt turn. Down into turn number 2. He gets launched up into the air and slams into the catch fencing.
What a hit.
He's blocked the track off of turn number 2. Massive, massive impact there for Alex Bowman.
That is a massive moment for the 48 team of Alex Bowman. This will ultimately most likely be the demise of Alex Bowman's championship hopes, as he went into the catch fence and then blocked the racetrack. Something I didn't think was even possible at the Charlotte Roval, but it was.
And what a huge incident for the 40 of Alex Bowman. Let's see how it happened. First, Spinhouse went around on the restart. That's how you knew things were going bad. And Bowman was fading fast, 3 wide, and then through the spray, pile drive into the catch fencing. A huge hit for Alex Bowman.
What a crash. Honestly, one of the biggest wrecks we've ever seen at the Charlotte Roval. Again, looking at Stenhouse, unfortunately just spun after Bowman did not get going. Looking at this once again, Bowman has severe damage. Christopher Bell doesn't see him in the spray and absolutely destroys the rear end of that 48 machine. They are both out, and that will Alex Bowman's playoff hopes will go up in flames or more, be doused by the water here in the Roval.
And I'll tell you what, he almost got launched out of the ballpark right here as Bell just slams into him, and that will also most likely launch him out of the playoff round of 8. And we'll see, you know, what the damage is done here in a minute, but just taking a look at this incident here, I mean, the rooster tails are higher than, you know, a couple car heights there. SVG gets away, Chastain gets away, and 3 wide just doesn't work. And man, just a heavy, heavy impact there from Bell launching into that second turn.
I would like to say one thing. I see Noah Gragson stopped right here. He was lucky enough to stop on the track and not hurt his playoff hit chances any more than it already has today, as he's running the back. But this will ultimately end Alex Bowman's day as he gets towed back to the garage area.
And now let's take a look at the second angle we found here. He should be in the back, just focusing on SVG, and whoa! Look at that car get launched into the air.
Amazing camera work by our crew. But overall, once again, just such a violent hit here at the Roval. Alex Bowman, we're going to be lucky if he is actually okay. Talking about more of this to the driver, what a huge hit in the catch fence. Luckily, our camera crews and everybody were protected from this. And let's send it down to Analyst for another weather report.
All right, y'all, this is where it gets interesting. The rain seems to have stopped, or at least relented enough where it's no longer dampening the track. There's no rain in the forecast moving forward, so it's going to be very interesting to see which drivers pit for slicks first. If they gamble too early, or if they gamble too late, and the rest of the competition takes off into the distance. This race is about to get very, very interesting.
And look at this, the track looks basically dry. You see a couple puddles on the apron, but other than that, what what an effort by our cleaning crew. And just like that, our drivers are ready to get their slicks off and the rain tires off and put the slicks on. Let's head down to pit road to our pit reporters.
Now, dominant driver of the day, Shane Van Gisbergen, comes down pit road now that the red flag has been lifted and the rain is cleared. Says he wants 4 slick tires as there are barely any wet spots left on the track.
Ross Chastain reports there's only a couple of patches of rain left down the track. He scored great stage points in stage 2, but with the limited amount of rain, he'll go from the rains to the slicks and head on his way. Michael McDowell in the 34 comes back down pit road. He's going to change to the rain tires. Difficult in stage 2, but he's confident in his car heading into stage 3.
And the cars, they're going to roll off pit road. A ton of interesting decisions here. As you can see, SVG retaining that top spot. With that all out of the way, it's time to go ahead and take a look at your choose cone for today. For this restart, track dry. First time we've seen that in a while. And into the choose cone here, SVG to the outside once again. It's been his favorite lane all day long. But look at that, Chastain going to the inside, and Noah Gragson, he's made his way back to the front of the field.
And it's going to be very interesting here as the track conditions are completely different. Yes, it is mostly dry, but there are some, wet patches off of the racing line. So it's going to be very interesting trying to make passes here late in the going here. 7 laps to go, and to get ready to go back to the green flag here is going to be SVG and Tyler Reddick getting us back onto the loud pedals, and we're back onto the underway here at the Roval.
SVG will now clear Tyler Reddick and set sail. He is one of the best cars out here today, and no surprise he takes a lead on the restart and back onto the NASCAR Oval in turns 1.
SVG been dominant all day long, and he looks to continue that streak. Reddick trailing behind, and then just a little bit further, you can see the first balance for second. Drops Chastain and Michael McDowell staying up there.
I wouldn't count out Tyler Reddick. A lot of guys get into the chicane very easily. Ross and Michael McDowell battling for third now, trying to maybe get past each other and maybe set their sights on second and maybe even first before SVG gets out there a little far. McDowell slips up coming off.
But he keeps his foot in it and is still battling that one of Ross Chastain. Hanging on the quarter panel, is going to put a nose out front here as well. Onto the short chute down the backstretch infield there. And now Ryan Blaney attacking the one of Ross Chastain.
Huge hit into the barrier.
Big
DeWalt wall impact number 1. Joey Logano hard into the DeWalt wall. That's a playoff contender. His hopes are over. His season is done. The even year curse will not strike again.
He ends his playoff hopes into turn number 1 at the Roval, as so many drivers have done before. Logano's hopes go up in smoke.
Joey Logano, a very disappointing way to end his season. Let's take a look at the replay. You can see him in that taped up machine just trying to float around near the back of the field, and it looks like he just lost the brakes, and man, huge hit into the tire barrier.
It makes you think, did Joey Logano's tires give out because how dry the track is? The drivers have been so used to their braking points in the rain. Did Logano flat spot his tires? Who knows? He could have flat spotted it or just missed it turning completely.
Yeah, Joey Logano, very unfortunate mistake for him, honestly. That's going to take him out of the playoffs. Fought through so much adversity, but unfortunately did not have it in the cards today. That DeWalt wall is destroyed, making the best result. Taking a look now at the choose cone here at the Charlotte Roval once again. SVG going to go to the outside. Tyler Reddick to the inside. Very interesting move by SVG. Going to try to make that outside work. He's going to have the preferred lane going into turns 3 and 4.
And we'll see if SVG can hold on to that lead once again. But let's take a look at your points coming into this next restart.
2 playoff drivers right there. Denny Hamlin really far back in the points. He needs a miracle right now, and his miracle needs to be past everybody on the racetrack. But if they go down the backstretch chicane, Reddick now in tow and leading the field around the track. He takes the lead from SVG. Non-playoff drivers right here. Chris Buescher and Chase Briscoe looking for a victory.
And it's going to be a fun one indeed. The round of 12 will be decided in the next 3 laps. And it's SVG and Tyler Reddick, the playoff competitors. They're raring for action. Remember, Chase Briscoe, he started in 8th. He needs 4 points. With Truex, he can also make up some points from behind. It's going to be SVG and Tyler Reddick who will lead us to green. And out on Speedway turn 4 into the chicane. It's SVG leading us back green here at Charlotte.
The green is out once again. Chase Briscoe 3 wide. Chris Buescher following him in tow. Look at Chase Briscoe. None of these guys are lifting until they see God or a checkered flag here at the Roval.
And down the backstretch, they are wheel to wheel for the point. SVG on the right, and here's Reddick on the left. He's looking for some room as everyone tries to make the way around. Oh, look at the contact there with Gregson and Hamlin.
And now the cars scream down the back straightaway for one of the last time today. Through the bus stop, it's Reddick high and mighty up front. SVG trying to chase him down, but how about Chase Briscoe? He needs these spots, trying to close in. Briscoe is losing points. He's made it to 3rd. Here comes Bella for the lead. SVG, here comes Briscoe. 3 wide.
Chase
SVG is a goner. Now it's side by side. Briscoe, Reddick, side by side. Through turn 3 and 4. Contact made. The C-split for SVG. Down Main Street he goes. And oh no! He blows the stop sign around. He goes spinning. And his day is over. He's got a court ticket with a loss.
Chase Briscoe is battling Tyler Reddick after SVG's costly mistake. Here we go. Here comes Chris Buescher. He's not in the playoffs, but guess what? He wants to win, folks. Here comes the 17 down to the inside. He's going to try to pass the 14, making up spots on Reddick.
Unbelievable racing as we face the white flag here at the Roval. Reddick leads, Buescher 2nd, Briscoe 3rd to the turn 1 for the final time.
And Chris Buescher, the damaged diecast, he's up front and running, but how about Chase Briscoe? He needs 3 spots, he doesn't have it, he needs a win. To the inside of Reddick, he is clear on a Speedway 1 and 2 for the final time. Now as Chris Buescher, he's leading. Buescher in front of Chase Briscoe. Nobody cares, speedwing down the back straightaway. Here comes Briscoe to the inside, side by side. Now Buescher is clear once more into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. It's Briscoe, Buescher, side by side. What has he got left for him? Buescher, Briscoe, rest in pieces. He's around, and Chris Buescher, the damaged diecast, will spin and win here at the Charlotte Roval.
Chase Briscoe cooks himself on the final chicane, and Chris Buescher from Prosper, Texas, which by the way has a population of 30,000, claims the victory here at the Roval. What a finish!
And what a brawl from the top 3 on the final lap of today's event. Briscoe gave it his all and just tried to hit Buescher with everything he could, and he just couldn't quite get to that lead and win this race as he oh so desperately needed to do.
As we saw, Chase Briscoe did need to win. Stenhouse spun in the back, but nobody honestly cares. Chase Briscoe tried to make a clean move here. He at least tried it clean. He knew he had to do it, and he had one more shot, and he tried it all in the chicane. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but you can't fault him for that. He tried his all.
What a moment for the 14 of Chase Briscoe. Gave it his all, sliding, spinning to the line, and he spun out not quite victorious. Better luck next year for the 14 machine, but now let's go down trackside for Chris Buescher's burnout. And what a race for the Prosper, Texas native, a population of 30,000, and he gets to bring home a win. Let's go and take a look at your finishing results for the day. Obviously, Chris Buescher on top, then Chase Briscoe all the way back there outside the top 20, and Tyler Reddick and Todd Gilliland. What a great day for them.
What a day for Noah Gragson. I mean, I think that wasn't talked about enough. The rookie started in the back and made his way up. What a run for the 10 car. SVG, after spinning, after missing that stop sign, was not managed to get back up there. Honestly, as you get a little further back on these results, William Byron, Denny Hamlin, mediocre days. Kimi Räikkönen did all right. Chase Elliott slipped back there, and Chase Briscoe, unfortunately, missed the final chicane and missed his chance of the round.
And finishing second today seems to be one of the strongest contenders for this NASMAR Community Cup Series champion. It is Tyler Reddick who finished in that second position, came in 57 points above, and he's showing his strengths here today at the Charlotte Roval, continuing that grind. And there's a couple other guys in the back here as well that finished pretty well, like the one of Ross Chastain and the 12 of Ryan Blaney. Good showings for them, and they will try to keep their championship hopes alive after today.
And what a race it's been here at the Roval. But we take a look at your point standings. The round of 12 results: William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, Noah Gregson, Ryan Blaney, and Martin Truex Jr. advance to the round of 12. Chase Briscoe, Denny Hamlin, Alex Bowman, and Joey Logano go home early. What a race here at the Roval. What a really a round for that year of the NASMAR playoffs. It's been a super fun one all around. Any final words, guys?
An absolute banger of a race. Will definitely go down as the best Charlotte Roval race in NASMAR Community Cup Series history. MLCS, I want to personally thank you for having me in the booth. It was great to be joined by all these other great stop motion creators. We have had a monumental race here at the Charlotte Roval. Thank you all for watching, and have a speedy day.
Well, I gotta tell you what, right now, man, this was a test of strength and will and just pure, focus from all of these drivers here today. They really put their hearts out in this race to challenge everything from the racetrack to the race cars to Mother Nature itself. And for the guys that came through and succeeded, it sure was one hell of a result for a lot of these guys who really did end up at the front of the field with some fantastic racing too. Not only was it that technical race, that tedious race for a lot of guys, but it was also exciting for all the fans.
Well, it was definitely a fun one today. My first time ever commentating a rain race, and I'm excited for the future. I feel like we made some progress in diecast racing, and we could eventually do this on a regular basis, and maybe even on ovals one day. But until next time, I want to thank everybody for watching the Charlotte Roval, and always have a great moment.
And what a race all around. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys so much for joining me in this booth. I had a lot of fun here today, and I hope everyone who's watching enjoyed it as well. We saw everything that they could throw at us in this race. A dry track, rain, slight rain, all of the above, and Chris Buescher was able to spin and come back from his mistakes and win. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing to my channel. It does help me out so much, and leave a comment to show the YouTube algorithm that you guys actually enjoy it, because I put a ton of work into these. Thank you guys so much for watching, and make sure to tune into the Las Vegas NASMAR race, the beginning of the round of 8, on Milk's channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is your NASMAR Roval, signing out.